The second big difference is in the devices themselves. Now, when I was working in the web industry, I remember it was a terrible drag doing sort of 3 or 4 different versions of websites. You had to cope with 2 versions of Netscape and a couple of versions of Internet Explorer and do all the testing and all that sort of stuff. Oh, it was a pain. Well, it's literally 1,000 times worse with mobile, because you've got a massive range of phones out there, all the different phone screen sizes, all the different capabilities, the keypad layouts vary. You've also got the fact that there's an interplay between equipment on the network and the handsets themselves. So not only do you have to test, say, on a Nokia high-end Series 60 handset, you really ought to test on that on all the different networks in the UK. Because you'll find there are little things that some of them do differently. O2, for instance, treat their pay-as-you-go customers different to everyone else. And for various arcane technical reasons, stop certain services running just for those people. And it's very difficult to promote a service to customers and say, this is available for everyone, except O2 pay-as-you-go. There's also a bit of an impact in that people don't know what sort of, they don't really know that they're using software on the phone. People don't tend to think of their phones in that way. If you go to a service on your phone and it doesn't work, then you're not thinking, the browser on my phone is not rendering this page correctly. You're thinking, oh, it's rubbish, it's broken, and probably building a very negative experience with the brand that first encouraged you to interact. So that's quite important. There's ways and means of getting around that sort of stuff, but it's a problem that you have to deal with. And again, we meet quite a few people who sort of see that and think, well, they've got to go away and leave it in a couple of years, and come back and it will be sorted out by then. Well, the problem's been there for 5 years, certainly, and it's probably going to be there for the next 3 to 4. There's a lot more constraints with mobile as well. You've got the small screen size, you've got the keypad layouts and that sort of stuff. There's also other things like battery life, which is something you just don't have to think about when you're designing a website. But for instance, if you do a lot of Ajax-y sort of Web 2.0 things on a mobile site, you'll find that drains the battery life very, very quickly. The charging models as well. People are paying money for the amount of data they transfer down to their phone, and that makes a big difference. So there's lots of constraints there. And doing all the testing and making sure that things work across loads of phones, that's a real pain. That's something that a lot of people are surprised about when they first start doing mobile stuff. The third big difference, which I kind of touched on a little bit already, is usage and the context of usage. The mobile audience is way larger and way wider than the web audience. By definition, a lot of them are less technically savvy. They know how to use their phones, but they don't understand any of the sort of mental models that we've built up about how email works or how websites work, all that sort of stuff. There's a whole load of things behind that which you need to accommodate for by building things which are very, very simple and easy to use. There's a personal nature to it and a private nature to it, which is actually quite useful. In Norway, they've done studies on mobile TV and when it's used, and they were quite surprised to learn that mobile TVs, the peak usage times, are actually in the evenings at home, where you've got a television anyway. But it's something to do with a very personal, private nature that you can take it around with you. And we see the same actually with mobile gaming. Mobile gaming services that we run, we see peak times as being at 11 o'clock at night when people are at home. There's an implicit commerciality with mobile as well, which is actually quite nice if you're trying to make money from it. People understand that using their phone costs them money. There's none of this sort of information wants to be free, why can't I get all this for nothing stuff that you get with the web to a great degree. Zapping on a little bit, the production process for mobile, it's actually fairly similar to the production process for any other sort of digital medium. We do concept work, we do interaction design, on-paper prototyping of interfaces, work out the visual design, implement that. There is then a very typically lengthy phase where we test it to death on mobile phones, port it to a wider range of handsets. Some of the games that we do work across 110 different devices, and that takes time to do. And then you have to retest that and make sure they all work on different networks, all that sort of stuff. It's quite painful. I'm going to talk through a couple of examples of the sort of stuff we've done recently. First one, I'm going to ask you to suspend disbelief for a little bit. We built a ghost detector for mobile phones. It's a little bit nutty, but I promise there's some sort of serious stuff behind it. We were approached initially by a TV production company who were working for a program called Most Haunted, which you might have heard of. And these guys were saying, we want to do a little bit more with the format, what can we do? We think that we should be doing a ghost detector of some sort. So we stopped laughing, had a little think about it, and thought through maybe we could do stuff with Bluetooth to detect the strength of Bluetooth signals around us, maybe we could do it a few other ways. We eventually settled on a way which was which had some sort of vague scientific validity somewhere in the background, should we say. So we have this little thing that sits on a phone, and it connects to a server every 30 seconds, just pings a little bit of data over, and the server tells it how long it is since the last ping, and it measures little fluctuations in these response times. Now, as everyone knows, ghosts cause disturbances in the electromagnetic field. And these disturbances show up as fluctuations in these times. So we can infer changes in signal strength and have a nice little dial showing a little needle on the phone screen. That's all very well. It didn't actually go live with the original program, but we ended up selling it for £4 a pop in conjunction with a horror channel in the UK. As you know, a little throwy thing with a niche TV channel, quite interesting. You know, peaked at I think something like 1,000 requests a month. So you know, quite reasonable sort of commercial sort of one-off. But actually, then we launched it a couple of weeks ago on Discovery in the US. Halfway through the development, we realised there was a little bit more to it than we thought, because we're connecting constantly from the phone through to the server. There's communication going on there. And what we do for the full version that we launched for Discovery was when you first start the application up, it asks you for your name and your zip code, and you know, permission to share these things with the server. And if you say yes, then it just sends them up every time. And what this means is that at the back end, we can start building up a picture of everyone's location and the ghostly readings in their area. And we used this to build a live ghostly map of the United States. And they were really cool, actually. It was during a sort of 7-hour live broadcast. You can see they had the presenter actually using the ghost detector on his phone, actually live. Traffic peaked then, as everyone thought, well, I want to get one of those. And you can see the little dials where we've got everyone's ghostly readings coming in. And actually, there's something quite serious here. It's live connection between an audience and a program format, which is something that's very difficult to get with SMS. Okay, you can reach a much larger audience with that sort of stuff, and you can get people interacting, you can build it, and that's very important for lots of program formats. But it's no good for that sort of live connection that we've got there. And so we're looking at other formats we can roll out now with this sort of stuff. Back down to earth slightly. This is more like what we do sort of day to day. It's not all the wacky stuff. Microsite work that we did for a campaign for links. So it's a standard thing when you text into a shortcode, you get a little link back on your phone. You click through and you can download videos, links, mixes, download wallpapers to your phone, ringtones, all that sort of stuff. Pretty standard, but supporting a campaign that was going out in print and on television and that sort of thing. And also promoted via operator portals. I mean, that was another important thing actually about the network operators. They're worth working with because they can drive